Yo, what's up, G? It's Gains by Fitting here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 4-week shred blueprint for desk-bound people who find themselves trying to get to a point where they are incredibly active. So this is from completely sedentary to a point where you're actually engaging in activity and moving towards the goal of having the body that you desire. What I'm going to do is, since this is the 4-week process, is go over each week in detail. Now, each week is going to be separated into different segments. Okay, these segments are going to be the calories you should be eating, the food strategy, your NEAT goals, your optimal cardio, and then your success metric for the week to let you know if you are on track and following this plan in the correct way. So before I proceed, I'm gonna briefly go over NEAT. A lot of people don't know what the fuck NEAT is. NEAT is basically the calories that you burn outside of the gym, right? That's walking, that's fidgeting, adjusting your posture. These are movements that burn calories outside of working out. Going to week 1, it's gonna be the foundational phase. All right, so the mindset is this week is gonna be about building sustainable habits and not shocking your system, okay? Doing something that's gonna actually work in the long run. All right, so the calorie target, you're gonna start with a modest 300 to 500 calorie deficit from your maintenance, okay? So you can use an app like MyFitnessPal. There's a lot of apps out there to figure out what your maintenance calories are throughout the week. You're gonna go down from that 300 to 500 calories. All right, boom. Now the food strategy, you're gonna use meal delivery services for lunch, places like Factor, Freshly, but you're gonna do a protein shake for breakfast. This is quick and easy. You're gonna find this is gonna help you cut a lot of calories without you having to overthink. So protein shake for breakfast. You're gonna do your normal dinner that you typically eat, but you're gonna add extra protein to your dinner. You're gonna track everything in MyFitnessPal, okay? If you're not tracking, you don't know what you're eating, therefore you cannot expect to make any progress, all right? You have to track what the fuck you eat. NEAT goals for week 1, the foundational phase, is going to be you're going to take calls while you're pacing around your office. So this is an example. You're going to have an excuse to move. You're going to park farther away so that you can get your steps in. Are you going to make a point to park further in the parking lot or however your work situation is oriented so that you can burn calories while you're walking? You're going to take the stairs when possible, and you're going to have 15-minute walk after lunch. Okay, so after you eat, if you have a 30-minute break, it should take you no more than 15 minutes to eat. You're just going to take a 15-minute walk. That's simple. Going into the optional cardio. So for week 1, I don't want you focusing on cardio. I want you to focus on consistency for this week. That's what's most important. Your success metric is going to be that you completed 6 out of 7 days out of the system without feeling overdrained. This is the success that you're going to target for week 1, the foundational phase. Let's get into week 2. This is going to be movement integration. We're going to up the movement a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about the calorie adjustment. So now we're going to increase our deficit to 500 to 700 calories only if week 1 seemed a bit too easy. Now I encourage you to obviously push yourself with this as much as you can to get the best results. Now let's talk about the food upgrades. For the food upgrades, we're gonna add pre-cut veggies to every meal. We're gonna switch sugary drinks to water or 0-calorie options. I personally love implementing 0-calorie drinks. I do 0-calorie Gatorade. Sometimes I might do Coke Zero. You want to eliminate a lot of drinks with a lot of calories with either water or 0-calorie drinks. You're gonna introduce intermediate fasting in this phase. So you're gonna skip breakfast altogether. What this is going to do is constrain your eating window a bit, which is going to make the 500 to 700 calorie deficit that much more obtainable. All right, then finally, you're going to keep emergency protein bars at your desk, okay? So these are the food upgrades that you're going to implement for week 2, the movement integration phase. So let's talk about the NEAT upgrades. For NEAT, you're going to be having walking meetings as much as possible. You're going to set hourly movement reminders. I don't give a fuck if you getting up for the bathroom and grabbing water. You're gonna set reminders to get up and do something so you can engage in some kind of movement because you're sitting at the desk all fucking day. You're gonna have a 20-minute morning or evening walk. This can be after you eat. You can go take a walk, or you can set a planned designated time in the morning to walk. This is very critical. You're gonna make sure that you're engaging in at least a 20-minute walk. And then finally, you're gonna do body squats or wall push-ups during your breaks, okay? So these are the NEAT integrations that you are going to implement. Now let's talk about the optional cardio. What I want you to do is I want you to do 2 to 3 sessions of 20-minute walks or light bike rides. So your success metric for week 2 is going to be, at this point, you should be down 1 to 2 pounds for week 1, and we should be at this point stabilizing our energy level. Let's get into week 3. So week 3 is going to be our intensity round. So it's time to ramp this shit up a little bit. Our calorie target is now going to be to still maintain that 500 to 700 deficit, but now we're going to focus on the food quality. All right, so before, we really won't give a fuck what we eat. Now we're going to introduce better quality foods to expedite the process. And again, the whole point is to wean you into a process where you're efficient and you're striving towards the goal of building the body that you want. All right, let's talk about food prep optimization. You're gonna meal prep 2 to 3 days of meals on Sunday. You're gonna eliminate liquid calories completely. No sodas, full calories, milkshakes, none of that bullshit. We're gonna eliminate all liquid drinks that have calories. All right, so then we're gonna add fiber-rich foods to increase satiety, okay? So think about what's great about veggies and food with a lot of fiber is that you can stack these tremendously and still feel full. That's gonna be the goal, to up these. We're gonna track your macros more precisely. Now, instead of worrying about our calories only, we're gonna make sure our diet consists of this. That's gonna be 40% of our diet is gonna be protein, 30% is gonna be carbs, and 30% is gonna be fat. All this can be done in MyFitnessPal, okay? MyFitnessPal make this super easy. You can scroll on the app and force it to that ratio, and it's going to tell you when you're over your protein or under your carbs. So let's get into the NEAT maximization. All right, at this stage, now we're going to do 30-minute daily walks. This is non-negotiable. We have to walk 30 minutes a day. We're going to take every opportunity to move. If that means you're on the 3rd floor working and you got to go to the bathroom, I want you to fucking go to the 5th floor, go to the bathroom. Whatever you can do to make it so you have to do a lot more walking, you're going to take that opportunity. You're going to engage in some kind of weekend activity, whether that be hiking, sports, basketball, whatever the fuck you like to do. You're going to do something that you enjoy doing that it requires you to move. Now let's get into the cardio edition. We're going to do 3 to 4 sessions of 25 to 30 minutes with moderate intensity. So what this looks like is maybe something like a Stairmaster, just to get the heart rate going. Moderate intensity. You can do incline walks, okay? I'm talking up the incline to a 9 or a 10 or some shit at 3.5 speed, and do that for like 25 to 30 minutes. Strength training. We're gonna have 2 to 3 basic sessions focusing on compound movements. The only movements we're gonna be doing at this stage is gonna be deadlifts, squats, bench press, pull-ups, all lifts that are compound, that's gonna target multiple body muscles, so that you don't have to do a lot of sets, and it's something that you can wean yourself into. All right, the success metric is gonna be that at this stage, you're gonna be down 3 to 4 pounds total, and you're gonna notice that your clothes actually start to fit better. You're gonna notice the difference between your clothes. This is what we're looking to obtain in week 3, provided that all these are followed correctly. Finally, let's get into week 4. This is where the magic happens, okay? This is gonna be our peak shred process. At this stage, our calorie strategy is gonna be, we're gonna wanna maintain a deficit, but add 1 refeed day, okay? So what this means is we're gonna stay what we were doing in week 3, that 500 to 700 calorie deficit, but then 1 day out of the week, we're gonna go back to our maintenance, okay? So we're not gonna be in any deficit. All right, so let's talk about the food precision. This is important. We're gonna weigh and measure our portions accurately. We're gonna increase vegetable intake for volume. We're going to time carbs around workouts, okay? This is so critical. A lot of people are so scared to fucking eat carbs when people don't realize that you need carbs for energy. So in this stage, we're gonna make sure that the bulk of our carbs we are consuming around our workout. And then we're gonna consider cutting diary if feeling bloated. So if diary is something that makes you, feel bloated, we're gonna eliminate that from your diet altogether. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the NEAT master. At this point, we have mastered our NEAT. All right, we're gonna do 45 to 60 minutes of daily walks or equivalent activity. We're gonna have active weekend plans. That's hiking, sports, outdoor activities, okay? It's gonna be a norm at this point. Every hour for 5 minutes, we're gonna get up and do some kind of movement. You gotta go to the bathroom, you gotta grab some water, we'll do some kind of movement every hour for 5 minutes. All right, so get into the cardio peak. We're gonna have 4 to 5 sessions mix of moderate and high intensity. So now at this point, we have 5 sessions. Out of those 5 sessions, you should have 3 sessions that's high intensity, something like jump rope, some jogging, and then the other 2 sessions, something that is moderate, all right? That is the goal for week 4. All right, so get into the strength maintenance. You're gonna do 3 full push-pull leg sessions to preserve muscle. So some kind of push-pull legs regimen for 3 days is gonna be what you're gonna implement to increase and maintain your strength. And the success metric is gonna be that at this stage, you should be down 5 to 6 pounds total with visible definition and improvements depending on where you were when you started. Okay, cool. So that's the 4-week shed blueprint. Real quick, I'm gonna go into some additional things, maintenance and miscellaneous. After week 4, you can continue this protocol or you can transition into maintenance. You can either continue to elevate this depending on where you at and once you get momentum going, or you can just maintain the week 4 protocol and still lose weight, depending on your situation. So this depends upon where you at in your physical journey. Your realistic expectations. You can realistically expect to lose 1 to 1.5 pounds per week, which is actually sustainable and healthy, okay? It's healthy to lose about that much pounds a week. You really don't want to lose more than that. Then you're going into a realm that is not good for you. So what actually works? Consistency beats perfection every single time, okay? This is the whole point of this. This is to win you into a situation that you can actually maintain. And the name of the game is consistency. Desk worker hacks. That is gonna be you batch cook your meals on Sunday. You use delivery for busy days. Walking meetings are your secret weapon. And you wanna set your phone alarms for movement breaks, all right? So those are some of the hacks. Personally, only reason why I wanted to mention meal prep, I personally don't like meal prepping, but I do know that it can work. I personally like meal delivery plans altogether. I would honestly probably recommend that. But I do want to give you guys options if you so choose to want to meal prep and don't want to buy into the meal delivery service. All right, so yeah, this is my 4-week shred blueprint for desk-bound people who are trying to get in shape and nothing seems to work. This is a good way to win you into that process for you to get the body that you want. All right, bro, peace.